Hi there. So my name's Anthony Trinetti. I'm a realtor here on the North Shore. And today I've been asked to do a comparative market analysis on the whole building. So what I'll do is I'm going to get into some of the marketing and stuff like that. And then I'll also get into the actual pricing for some of the units and a little bit of strategy. Um, in the description, I will have timestamps, so you can click them. You can skip through if you don't want to listen to the marketing. You can go strictly to the price, and then go from there. Now, if you guys have any questions or want to talk to me directly, my information is going to be in the description as well. So feel free to reach out. But let's get into it here. So today I'm going to go through a few things. I'm going to talk about myself. We'll talk about my company. We'll talk about the marketing, as well as valuing the home, and then a few promises as well. So my name is Anthony Trinetti. I'm a realtor here on the North Shore, born and raised in North Van. Um, Top 1% in the board, top 2% nationally, and top 35 under 35. I sell quite a bit of real estate. I know what I'm doing when it comes to real estate. You guys have listed someone that knows the market very, very well. I live in Lower Lonsdale. I own a house on Grand Boulevard. So when it comes to North Van, I know it in through and throughout. I drive past through the complex every day on my way to work, so I know it very well. A little bit about me: there's reviews and client testimonials. It's all online. It's all right there. All are 5 star. A little bit about my company: I'm with Lepage, Sussex. We're a Canadian-based owned company. We do about 1 in 3 deals all across Canada, over $100 billion in transactional volume. And most importantly, on the North Shore, where it really matters is we do pretty much 30% of all transactions when it comes to real estate. We know a lot about what's going on in the market. We see a lot of offers. Just in the past 5 days, I've dealt with 11 different offers on different properties. So when it comes to dealing with offers, I'm a seasoned vet. So there's really nothing I haven't seen. Even though I say that now, there'll be something I haven't seen tomorrow. But when it comes to dealing with things, you guys are going to be protected, and then we're going to have the top of the class marketing, and then I'm going to get into that next year. So every home needs its own strategy, and we are going to go through pretty much everything that has to do with this property. So and there's key points that we're going to do: top of the line photography, mail outs, email distribution. We're going to go through some of the comparative sales. Obviously my website, it's top of the line when it comes to video telling, search engine optimization, open houses, social media, best in class negotiation. And then if any of you need to contact me at any point, it could be 3 o'clock in the morning, my phone's always on. And you need videography as well. So when it comes to putting your home on the market, the biggest and best form of marketing is putting it on the MLS. I'm going to have a professional photographer come in, take photos, and I'll get into that a little bit more. It's going to be put on realtor.ca, my personal website, and then all the social media platforms as well. The biggest form of marketing that we can do comes down to the actual photography. That's likely going to be the first place people see it. People are not reading newspapers looking for deals. They're looking online. So making sure that when someone clicks on the listing, it looks good, it looks fresh, and when people stumble upon it, they're going to see that nice bright photos, looks appealing. I learned this the hard way on one of my listings here on East Esplanade. The photographer said he was professional, sold the cool twilight photos, and then this is the result that I got, where we had glare in the windows. We ended up reshooting the property with a different photographer after literally almost a year being on market, and you can see what the difference was. Brighter. There was an ocean view. You could see it. That was one of my mistakes that I had to learn the hard way. And by doing so, I'm a huge advocate of when it comes down to having the place properly shot with a proper photographer. Even though it's a few $100s more, it's completely and utterly worth it. So the company that I use is Viewpoint Visuals. He does a mixture of multi-flash and HDR. And what he does is he takes a photo of one angle and then takes about 7 photos of it and then overlays them. So it takes a little bit more time. It's a little bit more expensive, but completely worth it. So you can see here in the difference, you get more true color, more neutral tones. It's more visually appealing. It looks better in the photos online as well. And you don't get that blown out look and color cast all throughout. That's Matt, horrible picture of Matt, but that's all I could find of him. But you can see an example of what he does in his work. You'll see in the corners here, see how there's different light flashes here? That's him going through each and every corner and pop flashing light so it looks a lot brighter. He puts his signature in his work. You can see the Marilyn Monroe. It looks brighter, it looks appealing, and there's no glare in those windows. It looks like that's the proper view that you're going to be seeing out. It's more closer to how it's going to look in person. Does it look a little bit better? Yes, but that's a little bit of form of marketing. We want them to come in and see the place. My job is to get them through the door and to negotiate the offer for you guys. Your guys' job is to set price. So we will do a video. I will talk about the neighborhood. I will talk about the property. You never know if the buyer is not really from here, might not know about Central Lonsdale, maybe the buyer's parents, because likely this will be first or second home buyers. Maybe they don't know the neighborhood. They're going to look at all the content and all the marketing. So it's always good to put a little personal spin, tell them about the neighborhood, tell them about markets and how convenient it is to everything, highway, the new rec center, everything like that. And the best way of doing it is putting it in video because it's a little bit easier to consume. Okay, so we will do some social media. I will be honest with you, when we're doing social media, a lot of the social media is bullshit. You're not going to have a buyer that's on Instagram looking for the next home to buy. They're not. But what you will have is other realtors following other realtors, and social media is like it is a tool of marketing that we use for realtors to market to other realtors. So throughout all the platforms, we're in around 65,000 followers. And when it comes to social media, we're going to have coming soons, we're going to have everything. But this is more of a marketing ploy to get other realtors to look at the listings. And, a lot of times I'll be on social media looking at Instagram and I'll be like, oh, that's perfect for so-and-so. So that's where social media comes into play. We'll have Facebook and Instagram ads. Now, when it comes to this, it's more of a needle in a haystack. We can target websites that are realtor based, but the pool of buyers that Instagram and Facebook has, it's basically from here all the way to Surrey. They had to do that because of the class action lawsuit. We just kind of have to trust their algorithm. When it comes to Instagram, Facebook marketing, it's really more of a marketing ploy for me than it is for the property. That's not to say we don't do it. I have gotten a sale from one, but it is a needle in a haystack. We'll do some Google ads, again, having to trust their algorithm. It is a little bit of a better form of marketing, and it's more location based than it is, person to person or someone looking directly for something in central Lonsdale. But it is a little bit better than doing social media. My shtick is I'm the YouTube guy. So if you live on the North Shore, you've probably seen something if you've been on YouTube, one of my ads. That's another good form of marketing. But again, needle in a haystack. Someone's watching another video, we pop up. They're not necessarily looking at your property to buy, but hey, you never know. We will do some MailChimp ads. This is probably the best form of marketing because usually people that are on my MailChimp are somewhat into the real estate market, whether it's wanting to know what's going on with the interest rate or wanting to know what's going on in the market. We try to update them at least once or twice a month on what's going on and then go from there. The best forms of marketing are going to be REW and Realtor.ca. Realtor.ca is owned by realtors, so we cannot pay advertise, but what we can do is make sure the pictures are nice and bright. We have all the pictures up. We have a video. You can see the description here. It's nice and long. We want to fill out that listing as much as possible because if we do get a buyer looking at the property, the longer they stay on the actual website, the more likely the algorithm will pick up that, hey, this is a property that people are liking, and we'll shoot our listing to the top. So more and more and more people are going to be seeing it. The other thing would be REW. That is one of the best websites that we can advertise, and it's on a rotational basis. So if there's a spot available, we become a suggested listing. It basically brings us to the top. The other thing is because I'm a paid sponsor, typically my listings do come up to the top more often. Again, it's algorithm based, so we have to trust their process. But that's what we can do. Out of all the websites and probably all forms of marketing, REW is the best one to market on. The other thing is if you guys have any receipts, manuals, updating floors, painting, changing anything, I would want copies of it, receipts, and have individual binders for each property, just so that if we have a buyer, maybe they're a first-time home buyer, they're a little nervous, it shows pride of ownership. It's like buying a used car. If you see the guy has had all the records for his car, it feels a little better, right? So that's one of the things that I will be looking to get and preparing and getting things ready for when we do ultimately list. Staging, so it's going to be a little hard with the tenanted properties and some of the properties that the family has. Potentially they may or may not want to do some of the staging. I do think with the vacant one we should be staging it, and that would be something that would really help with the ultimate sale price. Staging, and then maybe even using some of the furniture that's already there with some of the personal staging and just giving it a fresh look and something that's visually appealing to potential buyers. We will do open houses. That being said, likely we'll do public opens and then potentially agent opens. And that way we get as many people through as possible. It's a little bit more convenient time, especially for tenants, especially if there's something established we know, but we're going to show the property and ultimately get it sold. And sometimes open house work great, sometimes they don't, but they'll be periodic. We'll handle each property as necessary to make sure that it's marketed completely properly. So some other forms of marketing that we're going to do is going to be brochures. I want everyone coming to take a look at the place to leave with something. We'll do just listed postcards and then floor plans as well, just so that people can see it. Maybe it doesn't work. There's no need to disturb the tenant if the layout doesn't work for somebody. So making sure that's up there. It's the last photo of all the photos. And then also there's a link to it as well. So the game plan for all the listings is going to be establishing price, completing all the listing documents, preparing the property, getting all the photos, marketing everything, listing descriptions. Because when we go live, I want to make sure everything is all lined up and we go live and we're not waiting for photos, we're not waiting for video, we're not waiting for a floor plan. It's done, ready. So when we list on a Monday, everything's done. Showings Tuesday, Wednesday, agents open, evening showings, evening open house. That all starts to roll out, and then Fridays starts all the ads and promotions, and then Saturday, Sunday is likely our first open. That first week is so key, and then moving along. It goes first week, second week, and then that's when we really see things start to taper off. And then if we're not sold within the first 30 days, especially in central Lontzville, and you'll see in another graph shortly, we're likely overpriced, or the market starting to shift into more of a buyer's market. It was just announced today, which is the 29th, that they just did an interest rate decrease. It's likely going to be the last interest rate decrease that they're going to do for a while, but that is really positive, especially as we move into the spring, for you guys to maximize the amount of money that you guys get. So another thing that we do is we do showing feedback. I keep a list of who's coming through, especially in this circumstance where we're going to have layouts and units that are going to be stuff that are going to be potential mirror images of each other. So that's going to be something that, if one sells and maybe the buyers weren't ready at the time or needed to get financing, I can always call up that agent. Hey, look, I have another one coming up. Are you interested? Are your buyers interested? Let's do a deal, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that will definitely help when it comes to potentially selling some of the other ones. It keeps me accountable. Also, it keeps you guys in the loop of who's coming through everything, and then going from there. Another thing that we do is weekly summaries. So every Friday, even if there's nothing to update you guys with, I'm going to update you with MLS hits, favorites, realtor remarks, REW, my personal website, and then some of the stats from the MLS as well, just so you guys know what's going on. And you guys can all be on the email. It can just be some of you, whatever we need to do, just keep it completely open and transparent throughout the whole process. So let's start with condos. We'll evaluate them. So when it comes to any sort of marketing, we talk about exposure, condition, price, location, timing, and competition. Exposure in the market, basically, that's my job to make sure that your home is completely marketed 100%. And I think I showed what my marketing plan would be. Where you guys are going to come into play is the condition of the properties. Obviously, some are tenanted, so it's going to be a little bit more difficult. Establishing price. Location is A1, other than we're on a slight busy road. And then timing of the market. By the time we get it stratified, that could change. We're going to have to be talking closer to, and then competition. As of right now, there isn't much competition, and you'll see that in one of my later slides. So some of the negatives, let's just get it out of the way. We'll talk about it now and then never talk about it again, especially when it comes to buyers. But for your guys' estates, some of the units, especially the townhouses, will need renovations. Some of the things that buyers will have an issue with is it's on a busy road. And if they are investors, the rents are low. So likely this is going to be a first-time home buyer. One of the things that people are going to have another issue with is potentially the not having direct access to the parkade from their individual unit. That's more of an issue for the townhomes than it is for the condos, but that could be something that pops up. But we're going to focus on the major positives. So convenient location, walk out, especially if somebody has a dog, they can easily walk out and walk into the unit, take the dog for a pee, come back home. Another thing is one parking and one storage, huge plus. So things that we can obviously do, painting the inside, kitchen, living room, bathroom, potentially carpet cleanings, doing a deep clean, potentially staging. And the biggest thing is we could ask the tenants to leave. That would be something where if we have a vacant unit, it's a little bit easier to sell. Obviously, you're not getting that rental income in the meantime, but having a vacant unit is going to be easier to sell in the long run. They can obviously say no. If they're smart and think logistically, they'll say, hey, look, we're paying a low rent. Likely it's going to be a buyer that moves in. I should take this lump sum of money that they're offering me and move out. Now, when it comes to inventory over that $500,000 mark, we are seeing about 31 listings for sale, and in that central Lonsdale area, we're only seeing 5. And when we're just talking about ground units, because I really want to emphasize on that, there's only 2. One of them, both of them actually being on 3rd. One's not really comparable because it was built in 2020. The other one really kind of is, but not really, because it's a little bit. Actually, I'll just show you. So listed at $539. This one here in 1992 build, 769 square feet, and you'll see here it doesn't look the greatest. Carpet. It is vacant, which is a huge plus. Our kitchens are going to be obviously a little bit better looking, but definitely could use an update. In-suite laundry. So you see here, this is on 3rd. 3rd is pretty busy, north facing. So the age of the complex is 33. Balconies were done in 2020. There's 29 units. What else can I say? I think the parking membrane was done. No dogs allowed, which is a huge negative. The roof was replaced in 2012. There are, I think it's 1 parking and 1 locker with this one. So something that we can use. I would say our units are worth more than this one. And then this one here is in the Morrison. Again, not really comparable, but definitely something to look at in terms of price. We can take a look at the actual layout. There's no access to the garage. You have to actually walk out of the unit and then down. So similar to us, small bedrooms. With these ones, one of the sides is on the busy road, the other one is not. But you still have the 10-year warranty with this one. But $800,000 still available. So some of the other listings here that have sold that are a little bit more comparable, I've kind of gave you a bit of a bigger range. I tried to keep it in that central Lonsdale area. Oops. So let's go through some of those. So one here is 21st Street, Unit 104, sold for $640, 600 square feet. When we take a look at this unit here, you can see older renovation, but super, super clean. The floors are in pretty good condition except near the kitchen, but really good layout. One of the big things is there's a private yard that's super quiet, electric baseboard heating with gas fireplaces, something that's easily livable. Could you do a reno? Yes, but you don't necessarily need to. Owner occupied, half covered, half open, private patio section, just a few blocks, or just actually around the corner. Listed for $619, sold for $640 in 2023. So a really good time in the market. sorry here. This one here sold in June 2023, so a little bit more of the peak of the market in 2023. This would have been a good time to sell. This one was listed at 580, sold for 612. Again, on the quieter side, big patio, completely fenced off. So you can see here they virtually staged a gas fireplace, huge patio. It's over 500 square feet patio. Weird kitchen on this one, you'll see. So they virtually staged it. Not ideal because it definitely brings a sense of, oh, it looks a lot better in the photos than it does in person. It's usually a letdown, but not a lot of kitchen space. You got that 90s vibe. They updated the appliances, but you can see the gold finishes on a lot of it. Most people probably going to be okay with just moving in, but some people are definitely going to want to do a renovation. And this sold in 612 in a slightly better market. So the biggest sale here was on West 22nd, newer 2004 build, 704. It went in multiple offers, sold for 705, so just over $1,000 a square foot. This is right next to the what's it called? The white spot there. So you can see a really good layout in terms of the TV, couch, dining room area, all that. Super private, north facing, so it's going to be a little bit darker, but you can see they've updated it probably about 10 years ago. Floors, cabinets. Little desk area. Not a huge fan of this one, but really good building. This one sold in January of 2024, and it sold in multiple offers. So $6,000 more than asking. Another one here, 103 West 22nd. A little bit more original. Also ground unit. Central Lonsdale. Definitely could use an update. That West Coast feel. Could use a paint as well. Again, private area when it comes to the patio, which is going to be a huge plus for most people. A little bit of a common room area as well. All right, so a little bit farther away, closer to Lower Lonsdale, we have the 10th Street listing here. To kind of go through some of these. Actually, I should make it bigger, sorry. So again, with this one, mostly original, updated appliances. This is a better location, but it is, you can tell here by the photos, it seems a lot darker than it is. This is where if they hired a proper photographer, it would really help get a few more people in. You can see here this sold beginning of the year, listed for $625, sold for $619 or $615. They quote unquote renovated it in 2020. And then we have another one here on Chesterfeild, just on 15th Street, ground unit as well. Let this load. This one was renovated. So it looks really nice in the photos. Updated the kitchen properly, did the backsplash, but tight kitchen. So given that this was this year, which wasn't a great market, you can see newer appliances. This stuff is really going to apply to a buyer. Oh, sorry, I skipped through that. You know, the biggest negative is that Chesterfeild is a busy road. So list price was $639. It sold right close to asking price. So those are the comparables when it comes to the condos. So we can see the sale prices here. So when we take a look at all condos, we see that all condos are selling in and around that $750 to $700,000 range. Obviously, the 3 bedrooms carry the prices up, the 1 bedrooms drag them down. So we're in and around that price range. And then when we look at days on market, we're seeing that we're above 30 for both condos and for condos in all segments of the market. So things will take a little bit longer to sell, especially right now. Whether we're in central Lonsdale or just North End. So I'd be looking at this sale to be potentially taking about 30 days. And when we're looking at prices have definitely declined in central Lonsdale from the peak. So strategy when selling condos, let's stratify the building. Let's obtain a depreciation report. Those are the first things that I would do right away. Let's freshen up the building, paint it, power wash it, so it has a good feel to it. Let's get something nice and bright. I'm not opposed to the yellow, but let's get a painter in there to really kind of give us some ideas. The tenanted occupied units. Let's ask to see if they're okay with doing some sort of renovation, updating floors, painting. If I'm a tenant, I might be thinking, hey, perfect, they're going to paint this place for me. It's going to help sell the place, but that could be something that's going to help get you guys more money in the end. Just you'd be surprised what painting and new floors would do. For those that say no or don't want to do it, those are the units that you guys are going to need to sell right away. So sell those ones first, take that money, put it towards the renovation. When we have to give notice to the tenants, it's like through 3 full months. So it could actually take 4 months to sell the unit. And then you can use that money to put towards some of the other units and upgrading them and going from there. So summary for the actual condos, I would say the list price between 600 and 650. You're likely looking at a sale price between 575 and 625 in this point in the market right now. Just given the square footages of the four, you have a wide range. So obviously the biggest one is going to yield you guys the most amount of money, and the 640 is going to get you the least amount of money. So moving on to townhouses here. So same thing when it comes to pricing. We won't touch on this too much. A lot of the same things come into play, the renovation, the busy road, but now we have 1 parking instead of likely what most people are going to want is 2. Parking's tight in North Vancouver. Now they switched it to permit parking, so that will help, but especially in that area when you have the Anderson Walk, a lot of those people have taken a lot of parking up. So parking is going to be tight. And then obviously direct access to the parking. That's one thing that most units are going to want when looking at a townhome, is having that direct unit access. But we're going to focus on the major positives: convenient location, walkout units so you can easily take a dog out, and then 1 storage locker as well. So same thing that we can do: paint, potentially update some of the bathrooms, living room, flooring, maybe cleaning some of the carpets, deep cleaning the properties, and potentially staging the vacant ones, or if some of the family members are okay with, doing the stagings there. Okay, so when it comes to actually going through the inventory, there's not a lot of inventory out there for townhomes. 51 in Central Lonsdale, 5. Let's take a look at some of the actives. You guys can go through this after a little bit more depth. So a couple of these don't really work out. I did pull some comparables in Lower Lonsdale because some of the townhouses that were available were in that higher price point. So There's one here on 4th Street. It's more of a duplex. It's self-managed, but there is a maintenance fee of $536. They started off at 1.425. They're at 1.388. 2 bedroom, 3 bath, 1,700 square feet in total. So a lot more. It's a lot bigger. It's a better location than us, but when it comes down to these townhouses, we're not going to be touching anywhere near it. And that's why I wanted to include it so you can see what some of these other ones are going for. So we're going to be well below this. You can see this is a renovated unit, and at 1.388, they're still available. And they started off at 1.4, but you can see it's a nice reno, big, large bedroom, almost that house feel. So there's that one. And then this one here is a North-built property. I have a listing coming up here. It's a very desirable pocket in North Vancouver, 2 bedroom, 3 bath, 1,500 square feet. Of course, it's not loaded. Here it is. Great complex. Number of these have sold. You can see here they've done some upgrades to the property. Kitchen, a little cluttered in here, but south facing, tons of light. Anyways, we can move on. Unit 12-288, St. David's. This complex is not a great complex. 2 bed, 2 bath, and one of them is not a full bath. Only 865 square feet. You can see here they started at 939. Now they're at 889. One parking. All right, let's go through it. Virtually staged. An older renovation, but private patio, 2 levels. And you can see here, at this price, it's still available. We have Townhouse 4 on 1288 Chesterfeild. This is a 2009 build. This is a concrete townhouse, so keep that in mind as well. Updated as well, but on that busy road, like it's quite busy, but very much appealing. They're at 1,099,000. So 1,200 square feet on 2 levels, 2009 build, 2 bed, 3 bath. You can see here that they renovated in 2020, and they're still available. Very high maintenance fee, $859. That's probably why it's not selling as quickly as it should. And from what I remember, it's not a great building. Last active listing is this one here on 14th Street, 1981. So a lot older than where we are. 2 bed, 1 bath, 929 square feet on 14th Street. Really nice pocket. But when we go through these photos, you can see stucco building. There's going to be things upcoming in this complex. Very nice inside, but you're going to have to redo the windows here shortly. I believe exterior envelope. They had a number of different flooring. Yeah, see? It's like 1, 2, even if I go back a photo here. There's like 3 different types of flooring. It's not ideal. I believe the windows are starting to go in a lot of these skylights. So that's that one, and that one's listed for $859. So when we go through the solds, there's a few solds here as well. So I'll go through these. St. George here, 172133 St. George Avenue, listed for $1,430, sold for $1,020,000. 1989 build, 2 bed, 1.5 bath, 1,214 square feet. Complex is okay. It's likely going to have membrane issues here because it has that open plan. We have 2504 Western Avenue. Um, this one here sold really quickly in multiple offers because it had a detached car garage. 1,383 square feet. This was a really good price. They probably could have got an extra 50 grand more, but they wanted a quick sale. It's also renovated in 2017 here. I'll just kind of go through the photos. Okay, so you can see here a little peekaboo view. I did a little bit of virtual staging. I actually had a client that was very interested in this. All right. Unit 3, 247 East 6th Street. This was a 2-bed, 2.5 bath on 2 levels, 1994 build. Sorry, I should be making the photos bigger here. So very good condition. Obviously it's vacant and you had a peekaboo view. Never mind, I don't know how peekaboo view that view was. But E6, very good location in Lower Lonsdale. Management fee was $250 on that one. And then we had St. David's, Unit 25288 St. David's Avenue, sold for $970. This was on a busy road. I'll just quickly kind of go through this. But super, super busy. Near that power station too. Most people don't like that. But updated, but it was north facing as well. That sold for $970. 2-bedroom, 3-bath, $1,087. 2120 or 288 St. David's Avenue, $960. 2-bedroom, 2-bath, $1,086. Just kind of go through a couple others. Mahan, Unit 13, 1433. This sold for $1 million, basically 1.1. But it was quite a bit bigger than us. And this sold in a little bit of a hotter market. I'll show you this. But it needed to be fully updated. I think I would have lived there. That's kind of cool. But this sold in the beginning of the month, a slightly better time. Strata fees was $647. It's roughly about 1,525 square feet. West 20th here. This one was just right around the corner. Older complex, 1981. Sold for $1,037,000. Couple grand off. This one did take a little time to sell. Couple other sales. There was one here on 14th Street. This one recently sold. Again, 2-bed, 1-bath, $743. This was digitally staged as well, so you can see here. Very tight layout, but there really isn't much for sale in Central Lonsdale. But I just wanted to include that more so because the list price to asking price, they started off at $829 and sold almost $100,000 less. So we're chasing the market down here. And then the last one here, Unit C, 229 West 5th Street. This complex doesn't get as good of a rep than it should. It has very low maintenance fees. A lot of people don't like the sunken living room, but as you can see here, nice backyard, good little area. Floors could be redone. Kitchen's a little older. Definitely a custom renovation. But only $159 maintenance fees, south facing on 3 levels. Sold for $1,095,000, and this was a 2002 build. So, looking at all these, looking at the sale prices here, In central Lonsdale, the average sale price is around 1.4, but that's more or less considering 3 bedrooms that all 3 bedrooms are on the same level. In North Vancouver, we're more or less looking in that $1.3 million range, but again, that includes 3 bedroom condos as well. And then when we look at days on market, we can see two different tails of the tape here. In North Van, we're looking at above 25 days, but in Central Lonsdale, we're actually looking closer to around 5 days. Now, I do think because we're 2 bedrooms and have it a little bit split, it might take a little bit longer to sell. But in Central Lonsdale, what this is indicating, if we have something that's priced right, it should sell within the first 10 days. So similar strategy for us: stratifying the building, obtaining a depreciation report, freshening up the things, asking the tenants if they're living there to move, potentially move. If some of the family members want to move, they can. With the vacant unit, that's something that we were going to want to update for sure. Now, one of the things that I'm going to talk about is, because we have the whole access to the building, not flooding the market with all the units all at once. I would really want to stagger it. That would likely get you guys the most amount of money. If one unit pops up and then it sells, another one, and just kind of going in that forward motion, that would likely yield you guys the most amount of money. So when it comes to suggested list price, they're going to be between $1,050,000 to 1.1, and then suggested list price or sale price would be $1 million to 1.1 million. And that's with you guys not doing anything to any of the units. And obviously I'm factoring in some of them are a little bit bigger, some of them a little bit smaller. But you should yield in and around there, give or take, about $100,000. Now, this is more so if the market changes and we go into more hotter market, we might want to list it and then wait for offers. But essentially right now, if we were to list it today, we're just putting it at what it is, maybe leaving a touch of room to negotiate, and then letting the market dictate where we feel is a fair offer. Other than that, there's a little bit of promises and then some tips, but that's pretty much it. So if you guys have any questions or want me to want to reach out, feel free. My name's Anthony Trinetti, and thanks for watching.